When I watch what is happening in Minnesota, this beautiful place, Somalians ripped off that state for billions of dollars. I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Their country is no good for a reason. Ilhan Omar is garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They come from hell, and they complain and do nothing but bitch. We don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
I'd like to take this chance to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Somali con artists are everywhere.
Mr. Reagan.
Donald Trump recently terminated temporary protected status for Somali immigrants in Minnesota. And the left is, of course, screaming racism. But of course, I'm sure you know why Trump did this. Somali immigrants have stolen nearly $1 billion and potentially even more, it's not actually clear right now, from American taxpayers. And some of that money was even sent back to Somalia to fund Al-Shabaab terrorists. Our tax dollars funding the very terrorists who create Somali refugees in the first place. This story is so big that even the leftist New York Times is reporting on it. They dropped a bombshell exposing how Governor Tim Walz allowed this fraud tsunami to drown Minnesota's social services. There were red flags all over the place that were just totally ignored. Billions vanished into Somali pockets, and Tim Walz, well, he just ignored it. He allegedly crushed whistleblowers who tried to sound the alarm. Retaliation, threats, the works. As one insider put it, it was like kids raiding the cookie jar, and Tim Walz just kept baking more cookies. Then an X account representing hundreds of Minnesota Department of Human Services employees went nuclear, dropping a viral tweet that pinned all of it on Walz. They wrote, Tim Walz is 100% responsible for massive fraud in Minnesota. They say he retaliated against them for flagging the scams early, empowered unqualified cronies to bury audits, and built a whole corrupt ecosystem of indifference to keep the gravy train rolling. No accountability for his hand-picked hacks like Shireen Gandhi or Jody Harpstead. It is a masterclass in how to turn taxpayer theft into a political perks machine. And Donald Trump did not mince words. He blasted Walz as, quote, seriously retarded on Truth Social for botching this epic grift. And then he doubled down mid-flight on Air Force One.
In that same post, you mentioned Tim Walz, and you called him what many Americans do find an offensive word, retarded. Do you stand by that claim of calling Tim Walz retarded?
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with him. Absolutely, sure.
Because you don't think that
you have a problem with it? You know what? I think there's something wrong with him. Anybody that would do what he did, anybody that would allow those people into his state and pay billions of dollars out to Somalia. We give billions of dollars to Somalia. It's not even a country because it doesn't function like a country. It's got a name, but it doesn't function like a country. Yeah, there's something wrong with Walz.
The left is, of course, melting down over the R word, but let's be real. If incompetence could be clinically diagnosed, Tim Walz would have a fatal case of it. Now, this story may get even bigger, and I am excited to see what the consequences are. Consequences for Democrats are so unbelievably rare, it'll be nice to see if there are actually consequences for Tim Walz. One can only hope. But let's talk about these Somalis, Ilhan Omar's people, because I've done a little research into this and there's some pretty disturbing stuff about them. Donald Trump's termination order for the temporary protected status for Somali immigrants was made on November 21st, and it affects just 705 Somalis nationwide. That's it, 705. But leftists immediately reacted like this was the Trail of Tears. Frankly, I would terminate the temporary protected status of just about everyone, but it's not up to me, sadly. Meanwhile, these 705 are part of a massive criminal enterprise that terrorized Minnesota with what Trump called fraudulent money laundering and Somali gangs. Because these guys were not just stealing tax dollars, they were stealing tax dollars that were supposed to be going to charity. These Somali criminals claimed that they were feeding needy children during COVID. They weren't feeding anyone. It was all fake. Every single penny was stolen. And where did that money go? Kenya, Dubai, luxury cars, and Al-Shabaab terrorists in Somalia. This is money that should have gone back into the American economy, but it is instead buying weapons for terrorists. Libs of TikTok nailed it. They said, let me get this straight. Somalians in Minnesota inflated their autism rates to get more Medicaid funding, which was then funneled to Al-Qaeda affiliated Al-Shabaab. How is this not the biggest story right now? But if you thought this was just an American problem, think again. This is happening everywhere Somalis have been resettled. I will get into the details of that in one moment. First, of course, I have to sell you something. A lot of people drink way too much in college, and a lot of people carry these habits over into the 30s, 40s, and 50s, and even beyond. And a lot of people hit the party scene and they try drugs. Maybe you're on painkillers, antidepressants, maybe something else. All these things can destroy your liver over time. I personally take medication daily for an inherited chronic illness, and I'm sure many of you can relate. And this is why Purge is offering their new liver cleanse products for anyone who needs to clear those toxins out once and for all. PurgeStore.com offers everything you need to cleanse and detox your body. Powerful enzymes and probiotics, 15-day colon cleanse protocols, a parasite cleanse, and of course, the liver cleanse. Use Reagan as a promo code and get 15% off. If you are worried about the health of your liver, check out PurgeStore.com today. The link is in the description below. So this Somali criminal problem is not just happening here in the US. It seems to have become a problem all over the world, in every country where Somalis have resettled. Democrats love to tell us that third world immigrants are a net economic benefit. They say diversity is our strength. They say we need these people. But here's the actual data. A Dutch study found that each Somali immigrant in the Netherlands cost Dutch taxpayers, get this, 1,140,000 euros over their lifetime. That's $1.2 million per person. That's not what they're contributing, that's what they are costing the taxpayers in the Netherlands. The 43,712 Somalis there will be costing taxpayers $52.4 billion over their lifetimes. Billion. For fewer than 44,000 people. Congratulations, Netherlands. Let's see what you've won. They get crime and they get welfare dependency. And it gets worse. Second generation Somalis cost even more than first generation. I don't even know how that's possible. As one ex-user put it, they just get worse the longer they're here. Zero assimilation, zero desire to take on responsibility for their own lives. According to another study in the UK, only 1 in 10 Somalis have full-time employment. 1 in 10. The other 9 are all on benefits, living off British taxpayers while contributing nothing. One Somali claimed asylum, saying that he feared for his life, collected £40,000 in benefits, and then went back to Somalia because he, quote, missed the sunshine. All while letting someone else live rent-free in his taxpayer-funded council home. And in Sweden, it's even worse. Swedes just convicted members of a Somali drug gang called the Death Patrol. What did they do? Well, they kidnapped a 22-year-old Swedish woman and her 2-year-old daughter. They held them hostage for 4 days in a rented cabin. Why? Because her ex-boyfriend owed the gang money for a lost drug shipment. So they used this woman and her toddler as leverage. They sent photos of the woman with tape over her mouth to pressure her family for payment. And here is the most disgusting part. The gang members actually discussed recording her being raped to increase pressure on the family to pay up. When the police finally rescued them, the mother told investigators that she cried through most of the second day, convinced that she would not survive. But one of the Somali defendants described the 4-day kidnapping as a road trip. He said everyone made tacos, walked outside, and played cards. Just another day out. The ringleader was a professional soccer player. His sentence for kidnapping the mother and her 2-year-old child, holding them hostage for 4 days, and discussing recording a rape, 6 years and 11 months. In Sweden, apparently you can terrorize a young mother and her baby and be back out of prison just in time for the next World Cup. This is what the West is importing. Not just welfare fraud, not just terrorism funding, but violent drug gangs who kidnap women and children and treat it like a vacation. I've said this countless times on the show, but I need to say it again. You have to prioritize immigrants by how well they will likely integrate into your culture. You want to bring in the best from around the world, not the worst. Democrat politicians want voters. They go fishing for the worst of the worst, saying, we'll give you free stuff, free housing, free food stamps, free medical, free education, free everything. Just come to the US, pretend to be a refugee, and vote Democrat. But we don't want crappy people from crappy cultures. Because this problem is not just with Somalis. They're just one example. There are countless cultures whose values and practices are so alien from ours that most Americans would not believe it. When Donald Trump said that the Haitians were eating the cats, Democrats laughed at him. But some Haitians really do eat cats.
So are cats to you considered, are they considered pets or are they considered food to you?
Food. They are food to me.
Oh.
And sometimes when I broke, I sell them
Ah.
to take care of my family. That is what people were doing here.
Sometimes people are like, oh, you should never eat cats or you should never eat dogs. And it's like, you've never been in a situation where you've had to sell an animal. I wish more people would travel and be more open and realize what you think is a pet, other people see as food. And you can't just, oh, these are bones.
This is not some crazy racist idea. And it's actually not that uncommon. I have a friend from South Korea who told me that her parents made her dog for dinner once. My boxing coach in Indonesia, he used to host these spearfishing trips, and he'd come home to his home island, and he tried to get me to go with him once, and he said, "I'll have my mom cook you dog." Needless to say, I was not super interested. And look, the dog and the cat eating, I don't even think that's that bad. It's just an example of how we're different. The really bad stuff is the culturally accepted fraud, theft, culturally accepted rape, and murder. So look, you have to prioritize your immigrants in the following way. People from low-crime, historically Christian countries with strong education systems and a similar culture to the United States. The problem with this is, of course, that this will predominantly end up being white European countries, and this is unacceptable to the left because, according to them, that's racist. But the truth is that we've let in so many illegal aliens and so many fake asylum seekers that we're full up. What we really need is just to stop asylum cases. We need to stop immigration from crappy countries. And we need to continue deporting as many illegal immigrants as we can find. And Donald Trump said as much in his recent Thanksgiving message. And if you haven't read that tweet, I highly recommend it. It is amazing. Now, leftists are pretending that the recent ICE raids in Charlotte, North Carolina were tragic because 15 to 21% of public school students stayed home in fear of deportation. And the Democrats are right. It's tragic. It's tragic that Biden flooded America with illegal immigrants. It's tragic that these people were lied to and told that they would be given a free ride, consequence-free, if they broke US immigration law. What kind of a sick, twisted political party does that? A party that wants political power at all costs. The Democrat Party. Well, that's it for me. Let me know what you guys think about all of this in the comment section below. And remember, it's not that all liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night. Whew.
We're at war with the most dangerous enemy that has ever faced mankind in his long climb from the swamp to the stars. And it's been said if we lose that war, and in so doing lose this way of freedom of ours, history will record with the greatest astonishment that those who had the most to lose did the least to prevent its happening. If we lose freedom here, there's no place to escape to. This is the last stand on earth.